Here's the fun. What is going on, Busy Bariatrics? I am Rob, your favorite VSG man turned bariatric coach, here to help you stop white-knuckling your way through chicken, broccoli, and dietary meal plans. Ditch the burn boot camps that leave you sweaty but still stuck, and finally fix the habits, patterns, and behaviors that got you here in the first place. Let's get gritty, let's get honest, and most importantly, let's get busy. Before we dive in, though, if this episode ends up hitting you in the gut, could you do me a solid and screenshot it? Tag My Weight is History. Also tag actively April and Barry Nation and send it to someone who needs to hear this today. Let's normalize needing support and not hiding from it. I am so excited with the person who was on the other end of this screen way back when, before I had a damn clue of what I was doing in my bariatric journey. I used to show up to a monthly support group that was held on Zoom that was called East to West WLS. And a very special person today used to kick me out of the group because they thought I was a Russian bot. And she can laugh all she wants, but she knew she did it to me. She actually hired the other person she kicked out to be one of her first partners. But me, I was stuck on a treadmill begging for support. I say this because April Williams has been an inspiration to me. She has been a mentor to me and has been someone who I've had some of the most vulnerable, real conversations of what my role is in the bariatric community, as well as what's important as we move forward into this next stage of bariatrics. So, April, welcome to the show.
Hi, Fred.
You missed all that, huh?
I did not know that was coming, but wow, thank you.
Every now and then I read and write at like a 9th grade level, which is fun because I teach 10th and 11th grade kids. And as someone who also is a teacher, I think it's important that we give each other our flowers before we retire doing it.
Right? I mean, look at you, moving on up. You're going from approaching to meeting the standard. Well done.
I know. Wow, we're going full curriculum talk, which is why I always love talking with you, because one thing that I think as teachers we could both agree in, the importance of like having a clear vision and a plan. Mm-hmm. And something that I've always admired of you is, even way back when I was just starting on my journey, I could always tell that you had a vision. But before we dive into all that, if someone has been living under a rock in the bariatric community, could you just explain like who you are, what you did, and why you do what you do?
Sure. Yes.
And remember, we only record for an hour, so keep it tight.
Oh, Jesus, you know, this is going to be a challenge. Well, I've been an obese person my entire life, fighting the disease my entire life. I used to binge watch my 600-pound life. And I think in a way that kept me from onboarding meaningful care, because when I watch those shows, I would say, well, I kind of do that, but I'm not 600. And I just continued to beat myself up about what I know today is the disease of obesity.
Can I say real quick, that was always my standard as well, where I would be like, I'd be at 330 and be like, well, I'm not 600 pounds. So I'm
right.
I used to justify that I was fine.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes, I did too, right? No, I'm fine. I can do this. I can get this under control, right? There's this diet, there's this pill, there's this exercise regime, right, that I'm going to try. And they would work and then they would stop working. And then I would be, right? It's that lovely circle that we go round and round in.
It's comical because I always say I had the opposite of not in scale victories when I was 365. It would be like, oh, I split my 3rd pair of pants a week, but I'm not featured on my 600-pound leg. I fell down at a Phillies game and 2 ushers had to help me up, but I still got into the stadium and I'm not featured on my 600-pound leg. Like, I had the opposite of NSBs after I hit 300 pounds, where it was like, what's the worst thing I could do? And I'd be like, well, at least I'm not on like a TLC show just yet.
Dude, when I got married, I had the opportunity to create a custom gown. So my gown was made for me.
Which looked lovely, by the way. You just put the pictures up for your anniversary.
I did. And I love that dress. Oh my God. It was navy blue, beautiful silk. Oh yeah. It was awesome. But the thing that I remember most from that experience, well, one of the things is, right, the seamstress, the artist that we were working with, she knew that I wanted to cover certain parts of my body. So she made the sleeves a little bit longer so it would cover my arms, right? The waist was brought up. She did all of these things to enhance whatever figure I had. But I remember just thinking I was so grateful for the opportunity to make my own dress so I would love it. But I was also a little bit disappointed that I had to think about these things for my wedding day, right? Like Grady loved me, right? My size wasn't wasn't it? But it was just one of those things when I look back on those pictures, instead of remembering all of the amazing things that happened that day, there's these little moments that come into that experience. And when I put my dress on my wedding day, I think that thing weighed like 20 pounds. It was the heaviest thing I'd ever worn in my life. And it was just because it had to be made the way that it was, because I wanted to look a certain way in it. So yeah, same thing. Like my weight creeped into parts of my life that I was not expecting it to.
It's funny because like when we talk about wedding wear, like I've completely forgotten half the things that were signs of you need help.
Right?
When I got married, so like you get the tuxedo and your groomsmen get the tuxedo. Everyone else had the standard vest, and I had this weird cummerbundy thing that went up and around. And the tailor, like this is like true New Jersey tailoring sessions, is I go in and I'm like, oh, did I get a different vest because I'm a groom? And the guy just looked point blank. He's like, no, you got a different vest because you're 290 pounds. Like we don't have the material to wrap around your back and not have your back shoulder fall out. And I was like, oh, noted. And that was at 290. I gained like 70 more pounds after that.
God, I cannot imagine. I don't have any one of those experiences, but that's like a gut punch.
You'd think so, but like in the Philly, Jersey region, it's just like so matter of factly that you're like, oh, noted. Like I needed a special size, so good to go. And I just went about my day as if nothing had happened.
Oh my God, that would have stuck with me for sure. It's interesting, right? I was going to say, but it's interesting though, because I mean, now that, you and I both been in the bariatric space for a very long time, every person that I've met is a high functioning, extremely intelligent individual, right? I almost think like if you suffer from the disease obesity and you do anything in the public space, right? You have a job, you are a grandparent or a parent, you're out with kids, you just push through all of that because you do know what you're good at. You do know what your purpose is, right? And you're going to do it despite the disease, even though you don't know it's the disease. So all of these things happen and you just kind of file them away, but you're like, nope, yes, I know this. This is something that I'm going to work on. But right now I've got to work on this thing. So you just get this tunnel vision on whatever it is you've made the decision that you're going to focus on, and everything else falls by the wayside because you know what it's going to take to actually tackle this. And I think where bariatric surgery and now this bariatric community is so powerful and why it's so needed is that it helps us understand that this thing that we've been putting off forever, that we know we're going to get to, and we think we have the plan, is not actually a little thing. It's a disease. And like every other disease out there, you have to onboard meaningful treatment. And when you hear that discussion enough, you start to see a possibility where obesity and your excess weight really is more than just your diet, than just your exercise, right? Than just you being lazy. You start to understand, okay, this maybe is something different. And I think when you get there, then you can use your very smart, your very intelligent, your hardworking brain to go, okay, let's just go talk to somebody about this, or let's explore a different possibility. But until you make that mindset shift, this is going to continue to just be this nagging, annoying little thing that's always over here in your life. And it's going to move parallel with you throughout your life. Even though you want it to stay back here, it's not. It's going to continue to do this. And I see it every single day, right? In Bari Nation, out of Bari, everywhere that we're at, everybody is really smart. We are extremely intelligent individuals. We're driven and we solve problems and we understand that learning is a part of this. But this obesity thing is the one thing that trips us up, and making that little mindset shift to, oh, this is a disease like cancer. I should probably ask somebody for help with it.
I find the more that I've interviewed people as well as coached, as well as been in the bariatric spaces, the least interesting part of anyone I meet in the bariatric community is their bariatric surgery. Because yes, it's a common unifier, but it's like, yeah, we all had either VSG, RNY. We either decided to have a GLP-1 or decided not to have a GLP-1. We either got really into fitness or we didn't get into fitness, or the head work. Like we all kind of do some form of the other thing. The real interesting part is seeing that so many of us are high functioning people who, like, it's more often than not, we have a lot of things going for us than life sucks and we're obese. And it's interesting because I look at like how you started and when you decided to have bariatric surgery, what were some of the like first things you did after bariatric surgery?
straight up panicked, was in the most depressive state of my entire life, and rage caging at the bariatric binder I was given. I had one person in my life. Her name is Veronica. She's the woman who inspired me to have surgery. She and I, we like swapped dresses at our mutual friend's wedding. Like we same size, same activity level, same everything. And she started looking fly on her Instagram. And I literally slid into her DMs and I was like, girl, what are you doing? Because I want to do it too. And that's when she said I had bariatric surgery. And my immediate response within 5 seconds of seeing that message was, we're not big enough for surgery. And her response was, oh yes, we are. So, right, that inspired me. And going through the pre-op process, I felt really confident. My family, my husband, my friends were big supporters. They were worried, obviously, it's a big surgery, but got through that surgical process. The first week, and week 1 and week 2 after my recovery, were the darkest days of my life so far. I could not understand why I was so despondent, why I was so upset, why I was so rage cagey, so emotional over what I had done. And I very quickly realized that I was grieving this life that I used to have and understanding just how intertwined food and my relationship to food was to myself and to my identity. And when I started realizing, oh my God, this is like a breakup. I am breaking up with the thing that has been my longest, most abusive relationship in my life. And there is not a single physical thing that I can do to make this better. I can't go move. I can't go punch a punching bag. I can't eat. I can't drink. I can't consume alcohol. Like I can't do anything without a serious risk to my actual life. So I just had to sit in a chair and contemplate my life and my life's decisions. I mean, Rob, you know me really well. I am not a sad person. I'm usually pretty, I'm just naturally built. I can see, the good, and I'm happy in this and that. Not that life is crap sometimes, but everybody in my life was like, something is really, really wrong here. And this is really scary. And I turned to writing. And this was before I didn't know any of the bariatric community existed. I don't even know if I had an Instagram at this point. I mean, it was the most isolating. And what was so frustrating for me too, is I just kept thinking, I am asking my friend Veronica every 30 minutes something. I'm asking her a question. I'm saying, is this all right? And why am I feeling this way? And then I started to feel bad about how much I was asking from my friend. And I just thought, this is ridiculous. Like, I can't keep going to one person. I've read through my binder 20,000 times. It doesn't say anything about this. I've called my office. They're telling me everything's fine, but something is not fine. And it was really in that moment that I kind of realized there's got to be something else out there for bariatric patients, right? So I started sharing a little bit on Instagram. I had a wonderful bariatric counselor at the time, and she helped me understand that what I was going through was actually grief and what that process was. And she gave me some tools to help move through that. But every week there was something new that I was experiencing along my journey. I didn't want to constantly run to Veronica. And I just thought there's got to be like a Weight Watchers for bariatric patients. There's got to be like some community space out there. So I joined a couple Facebook groups. They were dumpster fire, absolute dumpster fire. And I was just like, okay, nope, I'm not doing that.
I am so grateful for the Facebook groups because I swear it brings people into like Busy Bariatrics or Bariatrics.
Yes.
Like, no, let's show you the real way to do it. But like to touch back and go to a point, I think with us both being teachers, we have a really good skill set of we know when we almost have to put on a face or compartmentalize what is going on. And that's a plus, but it's also a negative because we can look almost more okay than we let on. Mm-hmm. Because we have to be like either in front of kids, we have to perform, we have to do what we need to do, but like there really isn't a safe space for us to kind of like vent, grieve, or do everything. Yeah. And what you said I think is really common is we get that binder. When I look at like my early days, I had to stop drinking, which I did not realize my relationship with alcohol was where it was until that. I couldn't self-soothe with food. And I started doing Dave Ramsey, like tracking my finances. So I couldn't retail therapy. I remember going to my therapist, like Dr. Banford, I think was ready to like, not throw me out, but I think, or charge me double. Because I would go in almost shaking and be like, oh my coping mechanisms are gone. And like, you don't know how much it is until it's removed from you cold turkey.
Yes, it's brutal. It's
Yeah.
brutal. It is you feel like you got hit by a Mack truck and somehow you survived and you're really wondering like, "Oh my god, how am I supposed to live life now?" And that is the genesis of Berry Nation. I looked around the community, I looked around the internets for what I thought I needed and I didn't find it. And when COVID shut the world down, I just made this decision. I had been in public education for almost 2 decades. The last 10 years of my professional teaching career were in a 100% virtual online public school. So I was a master at Zoom. I knew the technology didn't scare me. And I just started inviting experts that I followed and liked on Instagram to a Zoom. That was it. I would invite them to a Zoom. We would have a conversation. I would gather questions early, right? So I was putting on my teacher hat and I was able to kind of get the learning and the experience that I needed as a patient. And it was kind of the first time in my life that I was really publicly honest about what I was feeling, because when I was in those Zoom sessions with whoever was there, right? You were there, Jason was there, so many people were there. I was able to just say like, okay, I hear you saying this, but this is what I'm feeling inside as a patient. And to be met with just like empathy and understanding and acknowledgement of like, oh yeah, that sucks, was really powerful for me, because I realized when I was holding that stuff in, it was actually holding me back. It was weighing me down. Even though I was losing weight, I felt heavier than I had ever felt in my life. And in those Zoom sessions, I realized, okay, we need a safe place to gather as patients, to learn from these experts in real time, and to have a safe place to say the scary things out loud. Because if we get them from inside us outside, and we are really met with that empathy, with that understanding, and with a place just to park your feelings, you can actually move forward. You can actually grow. And that was what started all of this. It's what started Berry Nation, right? The podcast was a place for us to kind of say those things, but the community was a place for us to say it out loud and to park those feelings and to learn in real time. I mean, you and I know as teachers, in person or virtually, humans thrive in community. We want to learn from one another. We want to hear what other people are thinking. We want to see and hear how other people are solving a problem. And then we want that safe place to practice solving that problem. So what we're building in Berry Nation is that. And I know it's what you're building in Busy Bariatrics. It's this safe place for people to go and learn, because none of us know how to be a bariatric patient. We just don't, right? That is not something that's hardwired up here. And the disease makes it very difficult to learn how to be a bariatric patient, because committing to the bariatric life is committing to go to battle for the rest of your life against this disease. And it's isolating and it's lonely and it's exhausting and it's all of those things. And if you don't have a safe place to go and recharge, power up, learn what you need to learn, you're going to feel adrift. You're going to feel lost. Even though you have onboarded the best tool to treat this disease, you don't necessarily know how to use that tool. I mean, it would be like if somebody hands you something and you've never seen it before, and then your instruction is to go build a house with it, you're going to flail. You're just not going to do it.
It's the equivalent of when people give me golf clubs and say you should golf, and it's like, oh, I have like this best set of clubs, and it's like, if anyone's seen me golf, I'm not good at it. And there's a lot I want to like dig back on with this, because I agree, like food is so different, because when I wanted to address my relationship with alcohol, I could cut alcohol and still live.
Yeah.
When you want to address your relationship with food, it's not like you can really go on a hunger strike
Yes.
and take care of it. But way back when I want to go to, and I started my process, it was pre-pandemic, and I used to thrive in in-person support, but when that shut down and went away, almost every support group was gone. And
Yes.
you would at least host once a month with East to West. Is you would have a Saturday, it was morning for you but afternoon for me. I still remember the time, because that's how important it was to me. Of, look, if I missed the November meeting, I was kind of up the river till December.
Yeah.
And I really started to treat that as like, that was the best form of self-care I could do.
Yeah.
I would sleep in that day. I would have like my little bariatric breakfast, because I was like 4 months post-op. So like half of an egg with like 2 grains of salt sprinkled for flavor. But then I would hop on the treadmill and I would just listen.
Yeah.
And there wasn't really many other places where you could go for free
Hmm.
or for any level and just listen.
Yes.
And you probably don't even remember, but I'd be on the treadmill. You had Des to come in to talk about working out.
Hmm.
And she like gave me a shout out and I went to unmute the mic and say hi and I fell off the treadmill because I
I
didn't have the
remember
room.
that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But it goes back to what you say, if community was so important. Des at that time, and still is, a 250,000 follower account. And the fact that she even acknowledged that I existed was enough of an acknowledgement to me that made me go forward.
Yes.
Jason, your partner, flat out, I remember the first time I struggled was in those early East to West days, and he didn't really he gave Jason advice, I'd say. Like, there was no like technical aspect of it, but I was like, I'm in a stall, what do I do? And I think he only said 2 words, like, keep going. And
Yeah.
that was all it sometimes takes, is just to have someone acknowledge you're struggling and
Yes.
to like give just a gentle touch.
Yes, yes. We all want to be, and one of our experts and my friend in Bari Nation, her name's Melanie Lindell. She's an amazing therapist. She's also a bariatric patient herself, and she leads a couple of things in Bari Nation. But for humans to feel safe and to kind of have the courage to move forward, you have to be seen, you have to be heard, right? You want to be like seen, soothed, something else, and I'm totally butchering it, but the point of this is it takes so little
Satiated
for
sounds like it can fit in there. See,
it,
soon, satiated.
right? I don't,
Well, it's a
it's
filler.
something,
This is live and we don't edit, so don't worry.
no.
We're just going to move on.
Um, what it's all about though is exactly what you said. If you just have a place that you can go and listen, that's going to help you in many ways be seen, because even if you're not speaking or even if you're not typing in the chat, you are physically present somewhere and you're dedicating your time and attention to whatever is happening in that space. And the acknowledgement is just somebody saying, oh, hey, I see you. Thanks for being here today. And you are going to hear something that helps you, because you are not the only one that is struggling with that. And it's why we work so flippin' hard in Bari Nation, in our membership community, to make this the place that you can show up on a Zoom, camera off, type in the chat, just here listening, and you are welcomed. Your presence is meaningful and your presence is acknowledged, because if you can feel seen and if you can be heard, and if you know that that's a safe place, it's going to give you what you need to power yourself forward. And it doesn't matter how you can show up that day. It's just the fact that you showed up. That's the catalyst to all of this. And I remember those East to West days, and it was kind of the wild, wild west, because nobody else was really doing that. Nobody else was just creating this place for anybody to come. And I worked hard to make sure that there were no Russian trolls and stuff like that. But it
Trust me,
was,
I scoured the internet looking for
yes,
option B. Not that I didn't love you, but it was like, is there another one I can go to?
yes,
And there was nothing.
no,
Like,
there,
nothing.
nope, nope. The support centers were not doing Zoom, right? Like my surgical center wasn't doing Zoom. And I'm very much the type of person where it's like, okay, if I need something and I look for it and I don't find it, I will just make it. I'll just create it. And when we really launched Bari Nation, so East to West WLS was, right, it was social, it was a podcast, we had these VBMs, but the feedback that we were getting from our Patreon supporters for the podcast and the feedback we were getting from people that were coming to the VBM was, we need this more than once a month, and we need it not to be on a social platform. We need this not to be algorithm driven. We just want to connect, really connect in real time with people. And I also need some on demand resources. So when I'm spinning out at 2 a.m., I can go somewhere and like connect to reality. And that was what we did. That was the basis of what is today Bari Nation. We host between 70 and 80 live virtual synchronous supports every single month. It's phenomenal. I mean, Rob, you lead in Bari Nation, you know what's there. So no matter what stage you're in, no matter how you can show up that day, you can log into Bari Nation, which is not driven by an algorithm. It's driven by you, by me, by us. And you can find either live support on a Zoom, or you can find on-demand content. There's only social thing about Bari Nation is there's a social feed where you can post, you can ask questions, you can celebrate, you can do whatever you want to do there. But everything else is grounded in education and helping you tap into what you need in that moment, because it's not my job to tell you what you need. All of our journeys are different. We're walking the same path, but we're getting there in a very different way. So we want to provide you with as much information as we can so that you can self-select what you need, because I trust you. You're smart. You know what you need in the
Debatable, but
moment.
yeah.
I
You
mean,
know, it's a relative term, smart. Like,
relative term.
but no, and it's something that I always think I'm proud of is we do host two very different communities that
Yeah.
give two very different supports. And the coolest thing is we've seen people go back and forth between our communities in the best way possible.
Yes.
I'm the first to say, and I almost sound like, well, I always sound like a jerk, but I sound even more like a jerk when people come into Busy Bariatrics and they're like, well, I need support. I'm like, that's not my job. And I say that in the best way possible. You in Barry Nation have so many resources to help with these support aspects.
Yeah.
And I almost say, like, look, I might be your person later, but right now you need to have a level of support that we don't really offer, nor do
Yeah.
we want to get into. And just like when you guys have, like, well, if you're really looking for more of a fitness or an
Yeah.
action driven approach, that's kind of where we kind of blend and let people walk. And there's some that even use both. And I think
Yes.
that's the best way to go.
Oh, it absolutely is. Right. I have no desire to get into the personal coaching that Busy Bariatrics does. My sweet spot and what has helped me most as a patient are these larger group experiences, but it's what I've done my entire life. I mean, you and I are standing in front of 20 to 30 different eyeballs every single day, you know, six times a day. We thrive in that group setting. We're looking to create this education that is accessible for people no matter where they are. But you and I also know we've been to college. There have been plenty of moments along my professional and my personal journey where I need one-on-one support. I need to say something specific and I'm looking for, like, therapist, doctor, you, personal trainer. Our recipe is not just a one ingredient thing. There are lots of ingredients that go into making this recipe of our life. And to be able to get what you need when you need it is, I think, what makes this journey successful. And when you onboard that, when you understand that you don't know how to be a patient, and that's okay. You have to learn how to be a patient, and there are quality, vetted, amazing resources and organizations and companies out there that are literally built for that specific thing. Your bariatric life will change in the best possible way.
I couldn't agree more, and it's why, like, I love when we collaborate together, like we did on the September challenge
Yes.
and on everything. Because one of my tenets is, like, look, before you really even become a busy bariatric, you kind of have to understand how to become a bariatric, and I
Yeah.
think that's where Barry Nation really shines.
Yeah.
Is I'm not really the one, and I say it the best way possible, who can really be like, look, I'm going to nurture and take every little thing. Like, it's just not my demeanor, but there is a place of, like, almost incubating and growing yourself, and then when you're ready, you go and find other resources. And I think it's been cool because I'd like to think I'm one of the original members of Barry Nation
You
and
are.
East to West,
You are.
but I was nurtured from you and Jason and really helped and supported through your podcasts, support group, by just being acknowledged. And that really has let me shine in totally different ways.
Yeah. It's, what I've really started to think about and frame this journey on, and we're going to talk about this in Barry Nation quite frequently, but we're kind of on our own hero's journey. And the hero's journey is this story arc that has been present for as long as humans have been humans. We all
The
have
only one
these.
that actually is really good is Star Wars. I just want to make that really clear.
I'll give you that.
It's technically like 1,000-year-old, like multiple millennia-year-old thing, but we're gonna just frame that Star Wars is it. So tell the hero's journey, and I'll start at New Hope, and we'll go from there.
It's what I have realized as of late. So I'm almost 6 years post-op. July 25th is my surgery date. Every time that I'm feeling lost along this journey, and I feel lost often, I instantly go back to the community. Even though it's something that I've created, even though it's something that I'm nurturing each and every day, it's still a struggle for me because that old mindset of you should be doing this on your own is still present there. But when I return back into the community, when I share what I'm struggling with, when I tap into support, when I do all that stuff, it grounds me in what is really true and happening. And what I've realized as of late is if I don't see myself in my own hero's journey of my own life, I'm going to continue to be distant from the disease, which is really the thing that I have to become most familiar with. And this hero's journey is all about acknowledging something is not right. And I have to figure this out. I
The
have to
Empire building the
understand.
Death Star, yeah.
Right. Like I have to understand what this is. And the hero goes on this hero's journey when they meet the teacher, when they
Obi-Wan
meet the,
Kenobi, yeah.
right. That then gives you part of what you are needing. But the hero's journey is when you incorporate what you're learning from this teacher, right? From this thing, and you
Using the
struggle
Force.
with it. You struggle with it, and you have to learn, how am I going to use this tool to help me along this journey? And there's this point in the hero's journey where you enter like the cave of no return. And the cave is such a powerful metaphor because you walk into darkness not knowing what's on the other side, but you have to have faith that your teacher, your community have prepared you as well as they can, and that you are prepared to go to battle.
When
So
Luke
you
goes to
enter.
big about an empire. Yeah, keep going.
Right. So when you get into the cave, you have this battle. And in that battle, you solidify this learning that you've done. And you exit the cave of the unknown as this wiser person. And it's when you kind of exit the cave and you realize, okay, I really have learned this. And you carry it forward to other people. That's the last stage of this hero's journey. And what makes all of this so powerful is, I think, what so many of us are doing in the bariatric community is we're helping people find themselves in their own hero's journey. We're helping them identify and learn what all of the stages are of the journey. We're helping them own where they're at in that moment. And then you're providing them a pathway for them to walk their own journey, because you can't do it for me. I'm the only one that can do it for me. So if I don't ground myself in my own hero's journey, I'm never going to take full ownership of what actually needs to be done. And
So
once we acknowledge that, we can move through this journey. And again, what makes this journey so powerful is one of the last steps of it is you teach others. And if you are a part of a community, you have a space to teach others. And that space is the best place for you to do it, because everybody else is on their own hero's journey. And you already have that safe place to pass along your knowledge where it is desperately needed and wanted. It is your place to be seen. And when you're seen as somebody who has made it through the hero's journey, you almost reach this, like, we call it, like, it's the OG status. But the cool thing about the bariatric journey and this hero's journey is that everybody understands that you figured this part out, but everybody also gives you the space and grace to know you've got another journey coming up, and you're going to hit something and you're going to go, oh crap, now I got to figure this out. And everybody in the community is rooting for you. They're like, oh, I'm so glad that you have said that you're on this next journey now, because I know that's coming up for me, or I can feel it's coming up for me. So now I get to watch you make this journey again as you figure out this component. It's like the never ending story, and it's the never ending journey, which can seem scary and daunting. But when you already have the roadmap, it's not, because you know what this path is going to take. You know what the stops are along the way. What you're plugging in is new tools and new experiences and new experts and new learning. That's the exciting part of the journey.
it's so true, and so many things I want to go on to, but I want to go back to the cave. Do you think, like, when Luke went into the cave in Empire and he fights Darth Vader, is that like a robot, or like, because they don't really explain it. Like, did Yoda just have a robot of Darth Vader in there, or did Yoda drug Luke? Like, he has a full-blown fight, and they never really explain it, but then when, like, the helmet cuts off, it's Luke's face. So is, like, this all just a dream that Luke is having, or is the cave actually real? This
So
is
I
why
think
nobody listens, by the way, after the 35-minute mark. Is because I usually say something like this at 35:30. But I'd love your take on that as a professional who shared this story.
the cave is unique for each one of us. And the fact that,
No, not for us. I mean specifically Luke in Empire.
right. But you know me, and I'm always going to make it about the bariatric journey.
Yeah.
The cave in Star Wars was directed that way because the cave in our own life is ours for us uniquely to interpret and to make meaning out of. So we're all going to make a different story based on that hero's journey in that movie. And the fact that they chose to let the cave be something different for every single person that watched that movie is great. The cave in your own personal life is your own journey, and how you interpret it is how you interpret it. And it's how you're going to make meaning for your own life and your own story, which is again, what makes this hero's journey so impactful, because it's not about somebody else's hero journey. It's about you. And if you don't ground yourself in your own story, in your own journey, and this own adventure that you're on, you're always going to be looking to other people to emulate their journey. But their journey is not your journey. That's just a way for you to kick the can down the road and say, well, this person did it that way, so that's exactly how I'm going to do it, and I'm going to just do their journey. No, you should see how other people have done it. But if you don't place yourself at the center of your own life and at your own journey, you're always going to flail. You're always going to flounder. You have to utilize the people in your life as your teachers. You have to see the tools that they're using. You have to onboard them. You have to try them. You have to really use them in a way that's meaningful for you to figure out what is going to work for you. And there isn't anything out there besides you doing the work that is going to allow you to walk this hero's journey.
So the cave is real?
I'm not telling.
No, but like in Empire, like I know in our story, it's how we make it. But no, I personally think like Yoda is like tripping Luke in his mind. It's like he's like mind messing with him to get it.
You know, I don't think I've ever thought so deeply about that, because for me, the only thing that matters is what Luke does after the cave.
See, I'm cool with him like blowing up the Death Star. I'm cool with him learning how to use like a laser sword in 5 minutes. The only part that I'm cool with him like tripping up a giant robot in the snow and then crashing, leaving the guy to be like stampled on. And he's like, oh, I can only get one thing, my lightsaber or my best friend out of the pilot. And he's like, I'm going to take this old lightsaber and let the guy get crushed. I'm cool with all of that. I just want to know if the cave is real or not.
I think the cave is real. And what about this? When Luke, right, cuts Darth Vader's head off and it's his face, maybe that's a metaphor for him finally putting to bed this internal struggle that he's felt between the light and the dark side. So when he killed the dark side in himself, when he saw his own face, he was like, oh, I really am this force for good. And I have forever left the dark side in that cave.
I hope he did. But
well,
yeah.
Of course he did. I mean, look at the rest of the series. He never goes back to the dark side. He sees it, he's close to it, but no. And he dedicates his entire life to helping others take the same journey.
He also kisses his sister. So like you got to take like what Luke does. I'm just saying you got to take there's some point. This is why no one listens past the 35-minute mark though, is because I derail for that. But I do want to get to a point that you did mention. I'm going to try to bring it back to professional level now.
Godspeed.
I think in our bariatric journeys, and especially as like you're creating a space or doing everything, there's like new levels, new devil of once we kind of master a certain stage of your bariatric journey, it's then like, okay, what next? And then you get to there. And then it's like, okay, what next? What next? When you were deciding to make Barry Nation, that's not an easy decision to make. And especially from someone who is running a podcast, booking professionals onto the show, DMing constantly to friends, people who you meet, and bariatric patients. How much time did it take to actually build Barry Nation?
I don't know. I could put a number on it, but here is what I do know. When we were building Barry Nation, so East to West, the podcast was established. We had the monthly VBMs, but we knew we needed something else. I was working about 10 hours a day as a teacher. And then every other moment in my life was dedicated to building out Barry Nation. I don't have children. I am thrilled to be an auntie to two nephews, but every moment of my life went towards that. And it almost broke every relationship that I have in my life. It almost broke my marriage. It strained my friendships to the utmost degree. My parents were worried about me, stress and everything. But I think the reason that everybody stuck with me through that was that if what I was building didn't make it, I would not make it as a patient. They knew that I needed what we were building and what we were doing. So despite my complete extrication from any relationship that I had in my life to build Barry Nation, they knew that it had to happen. So they gave me the space and the grace to do just that. It was the only reason that it worked. Everybody in my life was just like, okay, you are saying that you need this. So what can we do? How can we support you as you go through that? So whatever time I wasn't sleeping, which is very little, it was working on Berry Nation.
I don't think people understand to create a community what it takes, and that's about what it takes. And something that I
God.
resonate with is you're teaching all day, and that's not an easy job to do. And it's not a job that you can kind of like fake it or slug it through, because teenagers know when you are not on. And then it would be, I remember the early days of Busy Bariatrics, I would be teaching all day. I'd be working parking lot duty while getting online certification modules done, while then also DMing and talking to people. And then I would run support group from Barry Nation from like 8 to 9 Eastern. And then like sleep, rinse, repeat. And there's a good period of your life where if you want something like that to succeed, it almost has to consume you. How long did you say you were fully consumed? And if you can remember, when did you I know you could probably say like I'm not out yet, but at what point did you finally feel like you could finally like come up for air?
I have not reached that point yet.
And how long has Barry Nation been going?
4 or 5 years. I mean, I think East to West is 5. Berry Nation, the community, and we're 2021, so 4 years. I have not come up from air, and I don't think that's necessarily healthy. I've done some things recently to help with that. But I mean, I go to bed at midnight, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, working on Berry Nation stuff. I'm up at 5, 6 a.m. working on Berry Nation stuff, taking meetings. I mean, it's constant, because when you have a podcast, that's a whole different set of skill. When you want to have a meaningful social presence, that's another bucket. And then the community is this, I mean, we're basically running a school for bariatric patients. We've got 25 experts that we work with. We have an entire platform to manage. You've got, I mean, you just think about like contracts, liabilities, banks, working with your surgical partners, working with all of your surgical partners' teams. That's just on like one side. And then you've got this social media presence. So you're making graphics, you're coming up with captions, you're thinking about how you're going to roll things out. Is this going to make sense to people? Are our calls to action meaningful enough? How is this going to be seen by the people who we want to see it? And then you have the podcast. Who's coming on the podcast? What are we talking about? What do they not want to talk about? What do I have to make sure that we say or don't say? Again, how are we going to post-produce this? Who's going to be listening and watching and making sure that it's on message for us?
How much Star Wars content can you fold into an episode before someone turns it off? I totally get it.
Right?
The exact answer is 4 minutes.
Okay. Well, let me know how I'm sure you're going to look at the back end data of this. So
well that's the beauty. I know at the 35-minute mark, we brought in Star Wars. We talked for 4 minutes. So all the data matches up. I can really talk for 40 minutes now on Star Wars data. We're in the safe spot. See, you're this is the beauty of why April puts up with my foolishness or is ready to kill me, is she's having these deep philosophical conversations, which I want to have, and then I lighten it a little. But I say all this because I don't think people understand that this isn't something we do on a whim. This isn't something we do to get rich. This isn't something we do other than the fact that we know what the community needs. And something that you've always inspired with me, I don't even think you remember saying this 100%, but in one of your podcasts, you mentioned that Barry Nation was the thing you always wish you had when you were first a bariatric patient. And that's always resonated with me. And I tried to build Busy Bariatrics in that same ilk.
Yeah.
This is everything I wish I had for fitness, nutrition, and accountability that I did not have in my journey.
Well, I remember you and I Grady was driving.
Yeah.
We were in Oregon and we were going somewhere, and you and I were in the back.
We were going to brunch. We were going to brunch. Yep. We were going to Maddie Spar's brunch after JBY, and I couldn't afford a ride. And I think Jason kind of gave Jason picked me up at the airport. No, because like people don't realize that. Like they see now the sponsorships, they see me doing some goofy stuff, and they don't realize JBY won. I didn't go out to eat with anyone because I didn't have the money to go eat. And that's like a different part that people don't get in this process. And I think I bothered Jason enough after 2 days straight of him driving me around where he probably said, could you take Rob to across state lines from Oregon to Washington.
I don't think that was it, but I remember sitting in the back and you and I were talking about what does the community need now? And we definitely have that nurture part on lock, right? Like you are ready to actually commit to a bariatric life and you want to understand like what is this all about? That's what Bari Nation is for. But when you're ready to really hyper focus, right, on that movement pillar that we call in Bari Nation, right? When you are ready to dial in your nutrition, when you are really ready to get serious about movement and strength training, and that is what you want to do. That's where you come in because it's the one-on-one that some people need and thrive in. And if there's not that like continuum of support and care in the community, then we're missing things that people need. And when you create something that you know you need, other people need it too. And that's, I think, where the people in our life really know that it's real and it's genuine, right? When you're willing to say, nothing else in this moment is as important as building this out, not only for myself, but for other people, they know that it's true. And like, I've never taken a dime of salary from Bari Nation, not when it was East to West and not now. Today, I'm a single income family. I stopped teaching for a lot of different reasons, but I knew I had to fully dedicate myself to what Bari Nation is. But I've never taken a salary, I've never taken a dime from Bari Nation. And Bari Nation runs on the volunteer time and effort of our leadership team and of so many people who lead in our community.
It really is a selfless endeavor.
It truly is. Our entire leadership team does not take a salary. Jason, Nat, myself does not take a salary. Melanie's our chief human resources officer. Our CFO doesn't take a salary. Christine Mason, COO, doesn't take a salary. And these people are dedicating hundreds of hours a month to getting Bari Nation to the point where it can financially sustain itself. It's not there yet. And of course we want it to be there. But we all believe in it so much that we're willing to volunteer and donate our time to get it there. So every time that we announce like this new practice partnership, it's wonderful, right? Because it means that this support is becoming known in these other areas. It doesn't mean that any of us take a salary. Right. So when people say it takes a lot to go into it, it takes way more than I think what most people assume. So not only is it, your time and your energy, but by me not taking a salary, that's me donating all of the money that I would have taken as a salary back to the community, back to the mission. And it's just what has to get done because as I say this to my therapist every week, I say this to people in my world, if Bari Nation goes away, I am terrified about what my life as a bariatric patient would look like because I need it. I need it to be there. And I think that's why I volunteer my time. I think it's why so many people volunteer their time. They need it as their safe place to continue to learn what it means to be a bariatric patient.
It really is the truth. And as something where, like, Busy Bariatrics, I still don't take a salary off this. We've really been clear of keeping our prices at a point that works, but also giving back into the community. So a lot of the times, like our brand deals with our sponsors, we use that to give product to our clients or to give away to people who don't have it. Most of the profit that we make, we either dump into, not dump, but I guess dump is the same, literally cut checks for other communities and groups who are hosting events because we believe, we have to grow the ecosystem so everyone
Yep.
And
Yep.
I think that's a level of selflessness that comes across with a lot of leaders that I've been talking with all summer long, and I can't wait to share this with everyone, is just how we all care about each other in our own ways, and that the real goal is how do we make sure we have a safe space, because the internet is scary, the real world is scary. But I will say, like, going back to JBY, that was the first time I could go and I couldn't afford it. And I'm glad I did because that led to so many other great things.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that all those opportunities are there because we don't know what the next group we're going to incubate is. You don't know where the next Maddie Spar or even a me is going to appear from. So I want to thank you for everything that you did. And here's the beauty. I'm going to put you into our lightning round. Have you listened to any of my episodes yet, April?
No, honestly, I have not, which is a horrible, it's a shit thing for me. I don't know.
No, you can curse. I just can't curse. I still have to do the teaching job. People can do whatever they want on this. I
listen, the only podcast that I have time truly to listen to now is my own. Yes. I wish I had that too. I listen to my own because, after you record it, in the moment you have this wonderful conversation and then it goes off to post-production. And then I'm like, oh my God, I don't remember half the things that I said. So No, but
This is cool because it's going to air February 12th. It is July 24th right now. So if you're all listening to this, and you still are, but all the data shows like everyone's off. So this is kind of the cool part. If you're still listening, the beauty of this is my birthday is in 3 days from this, February 15th from this drop. So we're going to see if April remembers to wish me a happy birthday
oh God,
in
I'm
this.
going to put it in my calendar.
The social awkwardness that I gave Jason, because I think you two both are in February, is just, this is why I do this. These are the horrible things I do. But anywho, we do a lightning round. I'm going to go through the busy method with you. You're going to fire off the first thing that you think of. There is no wrong answer other than the ones that I judge. So the first one is, exactly, you know me by now. The B is for building habits. What's the best habit you've built after bariatric surgery or building Barianation? Yeah, always a good one.
Always a good one.
U is for understanding nutrition. What's the best lesson you've learned about your nutrition after weight loss surgery?
It would be a recent one, but this is a continuum. There is no bad food. The only bad food is food that's spoiled.
I would argue Arby's is pretty bad, but like it's close. It's close.
Okay. All right.
Although spoiled might work there. So we'll move on. I know you dropped an S-bomb already, but this S is for staying active. April, keep it PG-13. Favorite way to stay active after weight loss surgery?
Walking.
Always a smart answer. The Y is for showing up for yourself. What does that look like these days for you?
Shit.
We already got the S out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, Rob, you know the dumpster fire that is my personal life. There is not a facet that seems to not be on fire right now. I log into Barry Nation every day. I log in every day. So on my computer is big Barry Nation account, but on my phone is my personal Barry Nation account. I log into Barry Nation every single day. And that's how I show up for myself.
That's beautiful. You're probably like, well, we spelt busy. He can't have any other questions, but we put an exclamation point at the end for a healthy source of dopamine. Now, keep in mind, you've sworn twice through going through this process. Just again, I judge and I score. Like there is going to be a big board of how I judge everyone's answers at the end of the season. What is your favorite healthy source of dopamine?
Again, I'm going to say Barry Nation, and let me explain a little bit. Every day I get feedback from people about things that could have gone better, that could have been better, that could have been produced better, right? There every day is, as you know, you get feedback from somebody about how
I refuse to take feedback. It's probably like the biggest thing I do is I'm like, no, we're not putting a survey out.
Right. And I'm a sucker for punishment. So every day I get feedback. But the days where people reach out to me and say, hey, I heard this on your podcast, or I saw this in the community, or somebody told me this, and that can be in a personal message to me, or when somebody posts it on a feed. And I can see how something that myself and hundreds of other people are working so hard to create has made a positive impact on their life. That's what keeps me going, because it is brutal to put yourself out there in this way, to work so hard to create something that is going to be helpful for people. It is extremely challenging. It can suck your soul. But when I hear or see or experience something that somebody else is having in a positive way in their journey, that's the exclamation point on the day. The day could be total garbage. It could be dumpster fire, dumpster fire, dumpster fire. But if that one person says or shares that one thing, it puts the fire out for all of those other things. That's the exclamation point.
Well, that's beautiful. And I feel like then I've given you some dopamine, because I want to close this episode on the positive thing of thank you for having such a positive impact on my life, for seeing things in me that I did not see in myself, for not charging me to drive to brunch that day, because I didn't have the money. I think I took like Tab Johnson's drink ticket and then bartered it for like an entree later, because that was my year of sobriety. Yeah, like it's funny, but like I've come a long way, and it's because people like you have supported me for now close to half a decade, and that means something. And hopefully this is my way I can give you some flowers. Nobody's going to hear this episode though, so you have to kind of share it if you want people to know how good you are. But I can
do that.
Yeah, just one common share. So, all right, Busy Bariatrics, if this episode hit, that means it's time to stop hiding behind the I got this and start admitting I need this. There is no zero shame in seeking help. There's only power. And one of the best places to go to get that help is Barry Nation. So please, if you got anything out of this, tag Barry Nation, tag Actively April, tag me, and leave us a 5-star rating and review, or just give your insight on what you think happened in Empire when Luke goes into the cave. The algorithm just says if you type long, you could do it. So if you've got like 6 pages of Star Wars fan fiction you want to copy and paste in there, I am shameless. So let's also make sure that more people know that post-op doesn't have to be solo, and as always, keep getting busy. Bye, April.
Hi, Fred.